for an investment real estate owner, as your equity in the properties increases, as your cash flow increases, as your net worth increases, it would be appropriate for you to think more and more down the road about the future and, well, what happens to this structure I've built, these assets I've accumulated, if something happens to me? And the first answer to that question is an estate plan, just a basic estate plan. And a basic estate plan that is well drafted. And I want to qualify here that all estate plans are not created equal. So when I talk about a basic estate plan, what I'm talking about is an estate plan that accomplishes 3 objectives. First is avoiding probate. And frankly, if you have a trust, the likelihood is that trust is going to avoid probate. And I'm going to tell you a secret. It doesn't take a whole lot to draft a trust that avoids probate. Frankly, I don't think you even need an attorney to draft a trust that simply avoids probate. So we always tell our clients that avoiding probate is the beginning of what a trust or a basic estate plan can do, not the end. But that is objective number 1. Let's keep our estate out of the court system, because if our estate goes to the court system on our death, what do we lose? We lose privacy, number 1. Now our estate, our assets are a matter of public record, and most people are uncomfortable with that. So we want to retain privacy. Second of all, by avoiding probate, we avoid losing control over our assets, because now control is no longer in the family or in the hands of those who you trust. Control over your estate is in the hands of a judge. And we trust most of our judges, and most of our judges do the right thing, but even so, it is a loss of control. And the third thing that we lose, or I guess the disadvantage to going through probate is cost. If we have competing interests among beneficiaries, not only will one attorney be involved, but multiple attorneys will be involved. And that's where it gets really expensive, is when everybody goes out and gets their own attorney because there are disputes. And frankly, a probate action is litigation. It is a lawsuit under our system of laws. It is. And so it is not the best place to promote harmony in the family. And so probate typically is something that we do want to avoid. So a basic estate plan will avoid probate. A basic estate plan will also take care of the surviving spouse. We call this marital deduction planning. And that's a somewhat technical term, but what it means is that first and foremost, on the first death, the first spouse will be taken care of and will be immune from those who may take advantage of a surviving spouse. For example, a second spouse. People always say they're not going to remarry when they lose a beloved wife or husband, but the statistics show that most people who lose a wife or a husband will remarry. And so we want to protect assets to make sure that they go to intended beneficiaries, not unintended beneficiaries like a new spouse, or even more importantly, a new spouse's children or new spouse's family. So the second objective of a basic estate plan is to take care of the surviving spouse, make sure he or she is not taken advantage of, and also to preserve the estate tax credit Uncle Sam gives you on the first death. So the first spouse to die will get an estate tax credit if you use the right kind of a trust. The third objective of a basic estate plan is what we call succession planning. This is what happens after mom and dad both are gone. What happens to the money? What happens to the assets? When do the kids get them? Under what circumstances do they get them? How much do they get? These are the types of questions that are answered with the succession planning component. And a piece that is often ignored in the estate planning world, that is perhaps the most important part of succession planning, is the values you're going to transfer to your posterity as well as your assets. So we call this value transfer. And believe it or not, there is a way for you to transfer your values to your posterity without reaching out from the grave and controlling their lives, but to pass on some of these things that you've learned, you know, whether they're financial values or educational values, social values, religious values. These values can be attached to your wealth, and you can give meaning to your money over and above its purchasing power through value transfer. So that's essentially what a basic estate plan will accomplish. Again, avoid probate, marital deduction planning or protect the surviving spouse, and succession planning.